sports? Do you like beer? Do you love sports and beer? Then you're exactly where you need to be. This is the Huebs, Views, and Brews show on 1252 Sports Chicago. Cheers.
How's everyone doing on this Monday night? Welcome on in, Huebs, Views, and Brews. And we have plenty to talk about after the Bears and the 49ers went at it yesterday. I live in Chicago. I followed the Bears and covered the Bears for decades, but I'm a big 49ers fan. The majority of my basement's 49ers stuff. But it was an interesting game with two teams that had been struggling. The Niners had lost 4 in a row coming in. The Bears have now lost 3 in a row. We'll get into some Bulls. We'll get into a little bit of Blackhawks and a lot of beer conversation a little bit later on. I was trying to get someone from a brewery that's going to open up this week. They didn't have the opportunity to jump on today. We will get them soon. I'll tell you about that when we get into the beer talk, and a lot of things going on today, this week, beer releases, anniversaries, all kinds of things throughout the course of the week. So we'll hit you up on all of those after we talk some sports here on Huebs, Views, and Brews. Thus, Huebs Views on sports and on Brews. So basically, we split the show up for those who are just jumping on in for the first time. You can always comment if you'd like. We are on YouTube and Twitch, and you can also find us on my Facebook page and all the Facebook pages from the 1252 Sports Chicago people. And you want to jump on in, I'll try to respond to some of your comments throughout the course of the show. And we'll do that too, because I was listening to Waddle and Sylvie talking about elite. Sylvie thinks that the pass that Justin Fields threw to Jesse James was an elite pass. I don't know. I don't know if elite, I think it's the pass that a quarterback in the NFL should throw. I'm kind of siding with Tom Waddle on that, but a lot of Bears fans think that it was elite. We'll get into all of the Bears conversation in just a minute. Every week, I usually drink a beer. All the shows, I drink a beer when we get started. Now, I drank this beer last night. It's from Two Brothers Brewing. It's called Wizard Staff. It's an IPA. I had not had this before. It's just a 5% alcohol by volume IPA, and it was very tasty. My neighbor, Jason, had a fire pit going in his driveway yesterday. I stopped there after went out and met my buddy Pete. We watched some of the World Series game. It's hard to go to a restaurant and watch a World Series game because you got to be at the restaurant for 4.5 hours. So we watched the first 3 or 4 innings, and then I came back home. The fire pit was going. I grabbed a beer. So that was very, very good. A Wizard Staff from Two Brothers Brewing in Wheaton and also in Aurora. We used to be the old Peyton Roundhouse. I had my 25th high school reunion out there, and that was all kinds of fun back in the day. But for the beer I'm drinking today, and I don't want anybody getting mad at me because the craft beer people will tell me, listen, when you buy craft beer, you're supposed to drink it quickly. One of the keys about craft beer and tap rooms and bottle shops is you can buy fresh made beer and drink it soon, the way it's supposed to be drunk. Well, I was going through my fridge today, figuring out what I was going to drink. And one of the notes I have in my beer notes is about Nick and Ivy Brewing. They have one of their first anniversary beer you can now buy in a can, 16-ounce cans. So I thought about that, and I went to my fridge, and I pulled out a Nick and Ivy beer, and it's a stout. It's called Old Mech. It was brewed in February. That's how long it's been sitting in my fridge. Now, stouts, I've got some Bourbon County stouts from 2014, 2015 in my refrigerator. Stouts last a long time. And when I had this stout from Nick and Ivy, it's 6.3%. It was really good. Fat Mike got it for me. It was the first beers I had from Nick and Ivy before I had a chance to get out to the brewery in Lockport. So I'm going to open this one now. I left it out for a little while because stouts, you can drink stouts a little bit warmer than you drink your regular beers. And I didn't take a big glass that'll fit the whole 16 ounces in, but it'll fit a lot of it. And I'm sure I will drink all of it because it's a big sports night. You've got the Bulls playing against the Boston Celtics. The Bulls are off to a wonderful start. And as the opposite, the Blackhawks off to a brutal start on the ice, off the ice, not much better with everything going on with the Kyle Beach situation. And it's nice to see that finally things are happening with that. Nice to see that Kyle Beach came out. Such a brave thing to come on out and talk about the sexual abuse that had happened to him back in the days when he was in the Blackhawks organization. He had been a first-round draft pick, and all of a sudden you have a video guy who is threatening him with being able to send him down, not doing things, and just disgusting stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about the Blackhawks. They are playing tonight as they are still looking for their first win. They're 0-7-2. And then it's Monday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs, who are struggling big time, absolutely big time. They are taking on the New York Giants tonight. Giants, not a good team. It should be a blowout, but you have no idea what's going on in the NFL, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The National Football League was some of the most bizarre games of the season just yesterday. So we'll talk about all that. But first, let me take a sip of the Old Mex Stout from Nick and Ivy. Very good. Very tasty. Now, it may not be exactly what they were looking for when they made it, because it'll probably change a little bit. Yes, I know, Michael. Always good in a glass. The only beer I drink out of a can is when I have a 12-ounce can, usually. And if it's an IPA, I'll drink it out of the can. But if it's hazy or something like that, I'm usually going with the glass. But this is very, very good. I'm not a coffee drinker. So a lot of stouts that have a lot of coffee in them, I'm not going to be drinking them. But this stout is very, very good. It's only 6.3. A lot of the stouts are a little bit heavier. And this is the stout season. We're in the stout season. November, December, January, the colder weather, you drink the darker beer. And I remember drinking this when I first got it and liked it a lot, and I like it a lot this evening. I can't tell you, oh, no, it's it. I can't. If it's good, I'll drink it. If it's not good, I don't. I'm your basic beer guy. We had the guys from the Midwest Brew Review on a couple weeks ago. They're very, very knowledgeable. Bill and Brian Nouse, they know what they're doing. And Matt, I taste the beer. If it's good, I drink it. So I'll be drinking this Nick and Ivy beer. And wait till we get to the beer stuff, because Nick and Ivy's doing something very cool for those who were unable to get some of their Nick of Time first anniversary beer when it first came out at their anniversary date back in August. Let's go to football, okay? Bears and Niners. I was excited about it yesterday. I didn't want to wear Niner gear because at ESPN 1000 we're on Twitch. I don't want to have to sit and explain to all these people why I'm a Niners fan. I've talked about it years and years ago, and 4 years, because I became a Joe Montana fan in Notre Dame, followed him. He got drafted by the Niners. I became a fan, followed him there. My dad moved out to the Bay Area, had a chance to go to Super Bowl 19, the Dolphins and Marino going against Montana and the 49ers. And I've been a Niner fan since. I got Montana posters and prints and stuff that I'm looking forward to taking to my new home in Lockport when I do move sometime early next season. So the Niners come out a winner, 33-22. It's a game where Justin Fields did have his best game as a quarterback, 19 for 27, 175 yards, that touchdown to Jesse James. Thank goodness they're finally throwing the ball to Jesse James. This is a guy they picked up, and I know he was out for a little while, so personal reasons or whatever, but he's a guy in the preseason. You knew he can catch the ball. He played with the Steelers. He made catches with Pittsburgh, playing with Ben Roethlisberger in that. You've got to be able to get this guy the ball. And now with him and Cole Kmet and now Jimmy Graham coming back off the COVID reserve, maybe they'll be able to use their tight ends a little bit more, free up the wide receivers, get the running game going. It's scary moment when the concussion or the apparent concussion after Khalil Herbert got kicked in the head yesterday. He came back in. We're going to talk about him in a second. Now, Fields also ran the ball. There were some design calls. There were some design rollouts, bootlegs, nakeds, whatever you want to call them. And there were some designs to the right, designs to the left. But on this touchdown run for Justin Fields, he rolled right. It was a misplay. It looked like a botched play. It looked like he was going to hand off. There was no one there. He spun around to his right, cut back and forth, got into the end zone, a 22-yard touchdown run. That was nice to see. That is what a lot of Bears fans are expecting to see from a guy like Justin Fields. He's a guy that can run, can move well, can take off and get the first downs and things like that. A wonderful play fake to Ryan Nall, the TV, Fox shows us null going into the line, and all of a sudden they pull back and you see Justin Fields running around the left side for a 16, 18-yard first down, which may have been called back because of a offensive line penalty. Whitehair and Daniels did not have a great day for themselves. But for the game, Justin Fields, 10 rushes, 106 yards. He was over the 100-yard mark. Khalil Herbert had 23 rushes for 72 yards. Not bad. He had 100 yards last week against Tampa Bay. But he had 13 rushes for 66 yards in the first half. 13 for 66, which your math should be able to figure this out in your head. He had 10 rushes for 6 yards in the second half. The 49ers adjusted their defense. They collapsed in on Khalil Herbert, did not let him get into the running plays that he had run in the first half that got him available. They made nice first half adjustments on their defense, and their offense also made nice first half adjustments because third play of the game, Eddie Jackson goes out with a hamstring. Now, Eddie Jackson has not been able to tackle very well all season long and for a couple seasons, but defending the pass, he's not bad. And without him there, the 49ers were able to throw the ball a little bit more in the middle of the field and deep, and they did that. You look at Deebo Samuel, who dropped 2 balls in the first couple possessions for the 49ers. Samuel for the game, 6 catches, 171 yards, including an 83-yard catch and run on a 3rd and 19 from deep inside the San Francisco territory. It looked like the Bears were going to get the ball back. They had stopped the Niners, and then a little swing pass, a little wide receiver screen goes 83 yards. It looked like a touchdown at first, which I would have been happy with because I have Deebo Samuel and a nice 83-yard touchdown when he gets you a lot of points. Of course not. He goes out at the 1. So they adjusted. They made some changes. And in the second half, they were able to run the ball. Elijah Mitchell, 18 rushes, 137 yards. Garoppolo for the game. The kid comes home from Rolling Meadows, Arlington Heights, 17 for 28. He runs 2 touchdowns in, and he threw for 322 yards. He was not sacked. He was not touched. No takeaways for the Bears defense. They did not force a punt the entire game. The punter for the San Francisco 49ers, Mitch Wishnowsky, his wife gave birth to a child the day before, and Mitch came into Chicago, landed at 7 o'clock Sunday morning. When the game was over, the 49ers gave Mitch's wife a game ball. She had the baby. Mitch got to the game and sat on the sideline. I think he might be the holder too. So he got some work with Joey Sly kicking field goals and extra points, but he did not have to punt. The Bears did not force a punt the entire game. Shows you how bad the defense was throughout the course of the game yesterday. 467 yards the 49ers put up. And I don't care what Justin Fields does. You're not going to win many games when your defense is giving up that many yards. The Bears had success in the first half on third down conversions. 6 of 8 third down. But as I mentioned, second half, the Niners made some changes, made some adjustments. Second half, the Bears 2 for 7 on third down. And the Bears cannot go up and down the field and settle for field goals instead of touchdowns. They got to get in. They have to get in to the end zone. Santos with a 39-yard field goal, a 40-yard field goal, a 25-yard field goal, and that's just not good enough. They did get the touchdowns. Fields a 22-yard touchdown scramble in the fourth quarter, and then you had Fields hitting in the second quarter, Jesse James in the 8-yard pass, but they need to get in the end zone a little bit more than they're doing right now. So the Bears fall to 3-5. They've lost 3 in a row after a 3-2 start. And my producer over at ESPN 1000, Sean Davis, and I were talking at halftime of the game yesterday. At halftime, the Bears were winning 13-9, and we're saying, they're playing well. Things are good. If the defense holds up, they can win this game. And the Steeler game next Monday is a winnable game. So we're sitting there, and when the game's over, we get together and we say, what the hell happened? Second half, the Bears were a completely different team, both offensively and defensively. People talk about time of possession a lot. It doesn't matter how long you have the ball, and I've said this for decades. It matters what you do with the ball when you have it. The Bears' time of possession, they had the ball 37 minutes compared to 22 minutes for the 49ers. But the Bears were unable to get into the end zone. You got to score, got to get touchdowns in this league. and they were unable to do it. So they go down to defeat 33-22. Jesse James, 3 catches, 38 yards, and the touchdown. He's been able to block. He can do all the things the Bears need out of their tight ends. If Cole Kmet could hold the ball a little bit and catch the ball a little bit more and be more confident with the ball, the Bears would be in good shape. He was a second-round draft pick last year. They're finally starting to use him a little bit more. We'll see how things go there. The Bears are not using Allen Robinson much. I think he had 3 catches yesterday. Darnell Mooney had 6, 9 targets. We'll see what, if anything, happens during the trade deadline. The Bears are not a team this year that is going to tank and try and get a high draft pick because the Bears do not have a first-round draft pick. The Giants own their first-round draft pick. So that shows you the Bears should just go out and try to win as much as they can throughout the course of the season. The question is, how much can they do that with Justin Fields as their starting quarterback? We'll see. They got a tough schedule coming up. They still have the Ravens to play. They have a lot. They have the Cardinals, the Seahawks. They have a lot of really tough games coming up for the Chicago Bears. So we'll see how things go. Mack was out. He may be out again on Monday when they take on Pittsburgh. Eddie Jackson with a hamstring. Who knows if he'll be back or not? He went out the second play of the game. But as I mentioned, you can't. The 49ers, again, being a 49er fan, I know this because watching them the last several years has been so frustrating because they have more injuries than any team in the National Football League. They're constantly getting hurt. George Kittle out. Raheem Mostert got hurt in the first or second game of the season this year after having such a nice start last year in a nice couple of games and also signing a nice contract. So let me take another sip of this Nick and Ivy stout. So we'll see how things go during the course of the week. See if Matt Nagy tests negative in back-to-back days so he can be on the sideline. It was Chris Tabor on the sideline. He made a nice decision when they went forward on a 4th down play. They did convert on 4th down. That was nice to see. So we'll see what happens with the Chicago Bears as the week goes on. They are 3-5. They've played 8 games. They have 9 games remaining. And it's going to be interesting. Just a little note, because they play next Monday night, I will not be here next Monday night. Still not sure what's going to happen. Maybe we'll do a show Tuesday morning and pop it up on Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening, but we'll let you know. So keep watching on Facebook and on Facebook and any of the 1252 accounts, and also on my Twitter or Facebook account. We'll let you know what's happening for next week. And the trade deadline, like I said, it's Tuesday, 3:00. We'll see if the Bears do anything. They have quarterbacks. They have Nick Foles. They have Andy Dalton, and they have Justin Fields. The question is, does somebody want a quarterback? Because yesterday there were quarterbacks going down. There were quarterbacks coming off the bench and playing, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Now, the Bears also have running backs. They have Damian Williams, who got hurt early in the game. I'm thinking that David Montgomery will be coming off the IR soon. And then you had Khalil Herbert, who left with the checking on the concussion, then came back. Herbert showed he can run. David Montgomery can run. I know they signed Damian Williams. Maybe he's a guy they can move. So we'll see if the Bears move a wide receiver or a quarterback with the trade deadline on Tuesday. Derrick Henry. We're just talking with Andrew Tarbell, who's running the show for me tonight. And he's got him in fantasy. A lot of people have him in fantasy. And he injured his right foot yesterday, expected to be out for the rest of the season. So what do the Titans do? They immediately go and sign 36-year-old Adrian Peterson. Every time Adrian Peterson comes back, he runs well, at least for the start, for the beginning. We'll see how this plays out, how it works. Titans get a win they probably didn't deserve yesterday against the Indianapolis Colts. Carson Wentz with a couple of really silly, stupid plays, including the jump pass at his own goal line with the opposite hand that was intercepted and running for a touchdown. Yeah, that was probably not a smart, wise move. John Gonzalez saying the Saints need a quarterback. And you're right, the Saints do, because Jameis Winston not only tears his ACL, but his MCL in his left knee. And he's done. The worst part about that whole injury was he tore it on a horse collar tackle, and you could see it. The guy grabbed his back. His knees bent differently. That was horrible. It's bad enough you get hurt, but it's an illegal play. And think about it. When Tariq Cohen got hurt with his knee injury last year, okay, he got hurt on a situation, on a play that was actually a bad hit. And you hate to see that. Maybe nobody else does, but I do. When a guy gets hurt in a normal football play, that's going to happen. But on a bad hit, a hit that's illegal, a hit that's not supposed to happen, that bothers me a little bit. I don't know. I'm weird, but if you've watched the show enough, you probably know that already. So the Saints do need a quarterback. So we'll see if they're going to go and look for one. Trevor Siemian played yesterday, the former Northwestern quarterback. So I've got it written here. Trevor Siemian led New Orleans over the Bucks, who are 6-1. Mike White. Nobody knew who Mike White was. You may have known him. I know you're big fantasy guys. You knew who the backup quarterback for the Jets was. Mike White led the Jets over the Bengals. The Bengals, I couldn't believe the Bengals lost. They were 11-point favorites, and it seemed like an easy bet. Of course, they all seem easy before the game starts. Mike White leads the Jets, and Cooper Rush leads the Dallas Cowboys over Minnesota on Sunday Night Football last night. Cooper Rush. I didn't know who he was. Someone said he played Arena League. That's fine. Don't know a Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott was running down the hallway after the game, giving him a big hug and congratulating him on the victory. Dak Prescott looked like he may be ready for the next game that they play. So we'll see what happens on the trade deadline. Von Miller going to the LA Rams. So the Rams are going to have Von Miller on one side. You've got Aaron Donald rushing from the middle. So, yeah, John, you're right. The Jets did pull off a huge upset. And, it's good to see. I like seeing teams win. I thought, and this was my stupidity, I thought the Detroit Lions had an opportunity and a chance to beat the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. So, Lions are at home. And what happens? The Philadelphia Eagles rushed for 236 yards. Jared Goff was sacked 5 times. And it was a blowout win for the Philadelphia Eagles. I should take my advice. I have said for the longest time that the Detroit Lions are never, ever, ever going to be good. Ever. They had Matthew Stafford. They couldn't figure out the rest. Calvin Johnson was there. He leaves. Barry Sanders was there. He left. The Lions are never going to win. Lions fans deserve to put the bags over their heads like the Saints did back in the day, because you're never going to win as a Lions fan. I thought earlier in the year that they had some young talent. They have a tight end. They have a couple of young receivers. They have a decent running back in here, but I don't know what it is, but I don't see the Lions ever winning in the National Football League. It's funny because I was watching Pardon the Interruption today, and Michael Wilbon said something similar about baseball. The Arizona Diamondbacks are a team that a lot of people say, oh, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they're never going to do anything. You're not going to win with them, this, and this. People forget the Diamondbacks won a World Series over the New York Yankees. Stuff like that happens. And we'll talk a little baseball. Let's talk baseball now. It rolls me right into baseball. You would think I even planned that, wouldn't you? Braves had a chance to wrap up the World Series yesterday. They hit a grand slam in the first inning. That's right. First inning grand slam at home. In game 5, you're winning by a score of 4-0. And they could not hold on. They end up losing yesterday. So the series goes back to Houston, with the Atlanta Braves leading 3-2. Scary place to go because the Astros hit the ball well. Those Crawford boxes, Altuve, Correa, Kyle Tucker going opposite field. It's going to be interesting. The Braves had to throw bullpen. I don't know if had to is the right word, but they threw bullpen games in each of the last 2 games. And they ran pitchers out there that had very little experience. The pitcher yesterday went into the 3rd inning. Pitcher the first day couldn't get a second out. You work all season to get 4 or 5 starters, and it comes to the World Series and the playoffs, and all of a sudden we're seeing bullpen games. I thought bullpen games were like during the season, middle of the year, but now baseball has changed so much. The whole thing about not wanting your starters to face the lineup for a 3rd time. I'm not a fan of all that. I would love to have a couple starters that could go 6-7 innings and turn the ball over to your setup guy and then your closer. I guess that's the way all baseball would like to be, but it's like it's not being allowed to happen anymore. Everybody remembers in 2016 when Joe Madden pulled out Kyle Hendricks when Hendricks was about to start the 3rd time around the order for the Cleveland Indians. Couldn't figure it out then. I can't figure it out now. If the guy's going well, and people might mention that Ian Anderson had the no-hitter going for the Atlanta Braves the other day, and he gets pulled out after 5 innings and 60-some pitches. Yeah, I would have left him in. I would have left him in for, at least another inning, let him get up there a little bit, but that didn't happen. So we'll see. Let's see if baseball ever changes. Lots of baseball talk coming up in the winter meetings. I talked to a buddy of mine yesterday. He gave me an idea of where Carlos Correa may end up. Also, that the White Sox may be looking for, and this would be a wonderful thing, another catcher, a guy that can actually catch the ball, something Yasmani Grandal struggles to do. So we'll have a lot more baseball talk coming up. The Cubs hired a hitting coach. Woo! Another hitting coach for the Cubs. It's not the hitting coach. It's the guys trying to hit the ball. But the hitting coach is always the patsy, always the guy that gets launched. And it happens all the time. For the longest time, I used to make fun of it because being a White Sox fan, sorry, another drink of the Nick and Ivy Stout. Being a White Sox fan, people used to say, well, Greg Walker this and Greg Walker that. It's like, hey, Greg Walker was a really good left-handed hitter, but there's nothing he can do to make a guy hit the ball, okay? Everybody gets to the big leagues because they can hit. What the hitting coach is supposed to do is show guys what they're doing wrong and help them fix it. And apparently, some of the guys in the Cubs either didn't want to know what they were doing wrong or didn't want to listen to what they needed to do to fix it. And that's why some of them are gone. So that's baseball. The Bulls playing Boston tonight. The Bulls are 5-1 off to a really nice start. They're struggling a bit in the second quarter against the Celtics. Bulls got off to a nice start, hit 6 of their first 7 threes in this game. They're a fun team to watch. They're going to be a fun team to watch all year. One of their guys goes down early, and that's not good. You hate to see Patrick Williams go down with a wrist injury, done for the rest of the season. But it's fun watching Lonzo Ball, fun watching DeMar DeRozan. And I took it last week. It's like, listen, my fault, my bad. I don't know enough about the NBA. I didn't want Lonzo Ball here, but Lonzo Ball is a fun guy to watch. Alex Caruso, who they picked up from the Lakers, DeMar DeRozan, guy that can get his own shot. They're all kinds of fun to watch. They knocked off the previously only remaining undefeated team in Utah the other day, and we'll see how the Bulls do during the course of the season. Fun to watch Ayo Dosunmu, the kid from Illinois, the kid from the city, getting some playing time early in the season, early in his rookie season, and I'm looking forward to a lot more fun watching Bulls basketball. Now, you go from the Bulls to the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are playing today. They are taking on Ottawa, looking for their first win of the year. It's game 10 of the season. They play 82, okay? I think they play 82. I know the NBA does. Maybe 80. So anyway, the Blackhawks 0-7-2 right now. They're taking on Ottawa. Last week, all the news coming out after the reports and the investigations into the John Doe situation with the sexual abuse. We found out last week that Kyle Beach, the first-round draft pick of the Blackhawks back in 2009, I think it was, is the guy that had suffered the abuse. And he came out and talked to TSN, the sports network up in Canada. An amazing interview. Kyle Beach, so honest. And all of the interviews and things we see in the paper, if you haven't had a chance to read it, some people read the entire 107-page report. I did not. I read the articles from people that are covering the Blackhawks. Ben Pope doing an awesome job for the Chicago Sun-Times. And it's sad because everything that points to the one guy. If you're in a business and you're in a company and you see something, you tell your superior, and your superior is the guy who's getting paid, who's the boss that's supposed to be able to take care of it. Apparently in this meeting, Joel Quenneville, Kevin Cheveldayoff, Stan Bowman, John McDonough, a couple other people were there, and John McDonough said he would take care of these problems. He didn't until later on. They waited almost a month because they were just starting the playoffs against San Jose. And that's sad. That's very, very sad. I know John McDonough. He used to be on the show with me and Murph on the Score. He'd come on with us. He'd be listening to our show in the mornings as he was on the treadmill. And we had a great relationship with John McDonough. He'd went to the Blackhawks, and things changed in the Blackhawks organization. And it was a shame. If you get a chance, go read the Saturday. It was a Saturday or Sunday paper, the Saturday or Sunday article in the Sun-Times about John McDonough, who still has not come out and said anything. I'm sure he's trying to figure out exactly where to go, what to say, and how to go about saying it after everything that came out in the investigation. So the Blackhawks did have a very, very special night scheduled. One of the great Blackhawks during this Stanley Cup run was Marian Hossa. When they picked up Marian Hossa, that was fun. You knew Hossa was a tremendous player. He comes to the Blackhawks, never let them down. A hustle guy is always out there. He retires with a crazy sickness where the hockey equipment is giving him skin problems and ends up having to retire and leave the game. Well, they were having a Marian Hossa night scheduled for November 9th. Today's the 1st. So next Tuesday, I think it was. That has been postponed till a later date. It's just not appropriate. They want to be able to take care of the organization and work on the organization before they do a lot of celebrating. So the Marian Hossa night pushed. So if you had tickets for that Marian Hossa night, I'm sure, I would think that the Blackhawks organization would allow you to exchange your tickets for the game later in the year when they do actually know when they're going to have that. So, yeah, I'd like to see the Blackhawks get a win. The Blackhawks that are playing now, these guys are not guys that were involved in the situation. Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane came out and talked last week. Jonathan Toews said some things that were probably questionable and things he should not have said. But I've talked to some other people too. And if you advance in your career because of somebody, and then years later you find out that person does one thing bad or does some things bad, do you give up everything that person did? Do you not stay friends with that person? It's a very, very individualistic thing. It's a very hard and complicated thing. And you saw what Jonathan Toews had to say about Stan Bowman, and the players all loved Coach Q, and so it's very, very difficult. The whole thing's difficult, and the Blackhawks organization trying to bounce back from that. Okay, I'm going to take another sip of my beer from Nick and Ivy, an Old Mex Stout from February. Tastes fine to me. Chad, the brewer over at Nick and Ivy, might tell me there's some things I'm missing because I don't have a skilled palate, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it. And I get more Nick and Ivy news coming up after you hear a little bit more about that brewery down in Lockport.
Hello, this is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list, or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's Nikivy brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
And Nick and Ivy, born and raised in Lockport, Illinois. The stout is great. And if you were unable to get a bottle of their anniversary Nick of Time stout, okay, their barrel-aged stout, Nick and Ivy has just posted something. Paul over at Nick and Ivy posted this earlier today, that they're selling 2-packs, 16-ounce cans, similar to this one. Okay, they're selling 2-packs of the first anniversary beer, Nick of Time. You can check out their site. You can head on out to Nick and Ivy Brewing and pick some up. I'm looking forward to it. The 2-packs would be wonderful to get. It's a really, really good beer. And I know that they already are working on the barrel-aged beer for next year, and or for next anniversary. Okay, they're already working on it. It's barrel aging as we speak. Chad, the brewer over at Nick and Ivy, working on that. And if you walk into Nick and Ivy, you can see a couple of barrels down along near the tanks. Those are them. Those are the barrels for the Nick and a Nick of Time for next year. But head on over there. While you're there, check out the Huebner. Check out the Huebner beer and try it out. By the way, before we go to Harry Berg, who also has a great gambling show, an odd show on Friday nights at 8 o'clock here on the 1252 network, said, will the Bears move on and trade any players before the deadline? It'd be nice to move Allen Robinson. You're wasting him right now. What's the point of having a guy like Allen Robinson there if you're not going to be able to throw to him? You're probably not going to bring him back next year. And one of those quarterbacks, I'd get rid of, if you can find something, a pick you need to build for your team, get rid of Andy Dalton or Nick Foles for a higher pick. The one thing that's bizarre is that Ryan Pace does pretty well with later round picks. And if that's all you can get for moving one of these guys, go right ahead and do it. So, Harry, we'll be listening to you on Friday because I need some advice. My picks were crap yesterday, and there were a lot of upsets in football. I saw that a lot of teams getting points were winners in the first early games. And, of course, yesterday was a week where I picked a lot of chalk in the early games. So did not do very well. Catch Harry Berg's show on Friday nights at 8 o'clock here on the 1252 Chicago Sports Network. And so when you go to Nick and Ivy, try the Huebner. It's the IPA. It's got the caricature of me on it. Also, check out the Fat Mike Lager. You can get the Fat Mike Lager at Nick and Ivy or at Burkott's grocery store in Lockport. You can catch just about all of those beers from Nick and Ivy at Burkott's. So if you're shopping in the Lockport area, head on over to Burkott's and pick up some Nick and Ivy beer, some Nick and Ivy 4-packs. Also try the Lake Life, okay? My girlfriend Linda loves the 1853, but the Lake Life is a blueberry wheat. And I know some people say, I don't like fruit in my beer. That's okay. Just try it. Try one and see if you like it. If you don't like it, move on to something else. But I think you should give it a taste. It's a really, really good beer. The Lake Life, a blueberry wheat. So check it out when you go to Nick and Ivy. Okay, lots of other breweries coming up. So let me take another sip because I got a lot to talk about here. Oh, I got to check and see if I got another one of these in the fridge. Okay, so I tried to get John Miller on today. No, not the guy that's been calling Giants football forever, or Giants baseball, I'm sorry. But John Miller is the owner and brewer of Bubble House Brewery in Lisle, and they open up this Thursday, okay? This Thursday, their grand opening, so there'll be opening ceremonies all weekend long in Lisle. They're over on Ogden, the Bubble House Brewery. Check them out. I cannot wait to get there. They've got at least 6 beers on tap. They've got a rich smoked porter, a pale ale, a kettle sour, a double dry hopped IPA, and a Kolsch style. I love all of those, of course. Big surprise, right? I like craft beer, so I like all of those. So check it out. That's a Bubble House Brewery coming up this week, Thursday night, the opener. Last week, you may have headed to Buckle Down Brewing to try and get the collaboration with Skeleton Key Brewing, the disaster magnet. Unfortunately, there was a problem, and they were not able to have it. They will have it this weekend, though. The disaster magnet will be there this weekend, and also they have a Tischler's Amber Ale. Tischler's a department store, a grocery store in that area. They got an Amber Ale from Tischler's. They'll have that this weekend also at Buckle Down Brewing. And since I mentioned Skeleton Key, last week I was there at Skeleton Key for a Little Key. Check the website for Skeleton Key for when Little Key, their 25, 28 seat tap room in the back of their building, is going to be open so you can get some beers. They had a collaboration with Oswego Brewing this past weekend. I was not able to get there. I'm hoping to get there soon so I can still pick up some. So we'll see if I can do it this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Ike and Oak. Yesterday, I was at a restaurant right next to Ike and Oak with a guy that doesn't really drink beer. So I went to Legends, which is in Woodridge, right on 53, right next to Ike and Oak. I did not go into Ike and Oak. I did have a couple of Hackershore Hefeweizens, which are very, very tasty. But Ike and Oak on Tuesday is going to have their Kodiak's Revenge bourbon barrel aged pastry stout bottles. They have 6 different variants, so check them out at Ike and Oak. I'm going to try and get there Tuesday or Wednesday and pick up a few. These are wonderful beers to get if you're sharing beer, if you have a bunch of guys that like beers and love craft beers. Check it out, Ike and Oak, with 6 different variants of their pastry stout bottles coming out. Goldfinger Brewing. I did stop there last week. I had a chance to sit down and have some beers with my buddy Dustin from Westmont. Dustin plans the Westmont Winter Beer Fest, which is coming up February 19th. Make sure you check that out if you get the opportunity. It's a great, great beer fest. I was there for the 2 they've had. They didn't have one last year because of COVID. They did have a Winter Beer Fest basically to go. And that worked out pretty well for them. But they are planning one on February 19th. So I did have a chance to sit down with Dustin over at Goldfinger, had a couple of beers, had their amber, which is very good. I did not have that. But Goldfinger on Wednesday, this will get you to go if you've been to Goldfinger before. Their Vienna Lager is back. The Vienna Lager is back on tap on Wednesday at Goldfinger Brewing. You got to check that out. And also, they have a Dunkel Lager that I had told Tom, the brewer and owner over at Goldfinger, that I was excited about the Oktoberfest beer. He said, wait till you get the Dunkel. He goes, I'm more excited about the Dunkel than I am the Oktoberfest. So the Dunkel is coming out. Their first tapping is at 4:00 on Thursday. I think I know where I'll be at 4:00 on Thursday. If you see me there, come over and say hi, okay? You don't have to buy me a beer. I'll buy my own beer. Just come on over and say hi. I mentioned about Nick and Ivy, the 2 packs of the first anniversary beer, Nick of Time. Saturday is Pollyanna in St. Charles. It's their 2nd anniversary. I'm embarrassed to say I've not been to the Pollyanna in St. Charles. There's a bunch of the breweries in St. Charles and in Geneva. I have not had the opportunity to get to. I'm going to try and get to them in the next several months, try and get some of those people from Penrose and Pollyanna and Riverlands, Art History to get them on the show, because there's so many great beers out there. I know that they've been out there for a little while. I just have not had the opportunity. I try to stay close to home when I'm having a couple beers. And but Pollyanna in St. Charles, their 2nd anniversary coming up on Saturday. Thursday, Elder Brewing, another brewery I've not been to. And I looked it up, and I know where it is in Joliet now. And Elder Brewing, you will see me sometime soon. Elder Brewing in Joliet, not far from where I'm going to be moving to in Lockport. They are celebrating just their 4th anniversary. So they've been there for a little while. They've been there for a while cranking out beers. So check out Elder Brewing in Joliet. Half Acre on Saturday. I'm sorry, Friday. They have a pre-sale. Ooh, my throat. I need another sip of stout. Ooh. Okay. It'd be so great if I could drink on the radio. At least for me. I'm not sure about the people listening. Half Acre with a Friday pre-sale at 9 a.m. of their Benthic 2021. Now, if you go to the Festival of Barrel-Aged Beers, if you've ever had a Benthic Stout from Half Acre, you know it is amazing, okay? They're having a pre-sale at 9 o'clock. Check out Half Acre's website. See what you can do about picking up some of this beer, because it's really, really good. Wednesday, my guy Eric. Eric was the very first guest I had from Orange and Brew bottle shop, or tap room and bottle shop. He was the very, very first guest I had. And they are having something coming up on Wednesday. Now, because of everything that's happened with the Blackhawks, it's tough. But there's a lot of Blackhawk fans still out there that love the Blackhawks team, love the organization. They've got their jerseys. They've been to the championships and things like that. They are now dealing with how they are dealing with everything that's happened with the Kyle Beach situation and the Aldrich situation. I was trying not to mention his name because he doesn't deserve his name being mentioned, other than, well, I can't go there. So anyway, the author, Tab Bamford, of a new book on the Blackhawks called The Chicago Blackhawks: An Illustrated Timeline. He is going to be at Orange and Brew on Wednesday around 7 o'clock discussing his book, autographing copies of his book. And head on over there if you're a Blackhawks fan. If you have a copy of his book already, you can get it autographed there. If not, I'm sure you can pick one up there. Check it out. You can always check out Orange and Brew website, and they'll give you more information on the festivities coming up on Wednesday. I've not been there for a couple of weeks over at Orange and Brew. I need to stop by soon. So Wednesday I can't, but Wednesday might be a good time if you are a Blackhawks fan. Get together with other Blackhawk fans, talk about and the other Blackhawk fans are handling everything that's going on with the team this year. A couple other breweries I just decided I wanted to mention, because I have not mentioned them. I've been to both of them, and I've not had a chance to go back to them. Hailstorm in Tinley Park, and also Sound Growler. Sound Growler makes some awesome tacos. I was there with my buddy Tom Kelly a year or so ago. I had a wonderful time, good beer, good food, and also Hailstorm. Hailstorm's been cranking out some awesome beer. You go to any tap room or bottle shop, and you will find Hailstorm is just cranking out some great, great stuff. So a lot of beer information, a lot of beer notes. Look at all those notes I got here. Tons of them on beer. And that's why I said way back when Fat Mike asked me if I wanted to do a show, I said, listen, I love sports, but I love talking beer, and I love what the community and the people that love beer are doing with their breweries and tap rooms and bottle shops. And it's so much fun because the community sticks together. And we've seen that with Skeleton Key and a lot of other breweries. So that's very, very cool. Before I go, I got something that's bothering me just a little bit, and I found out more information about it. We'll get to that right after this.
Well, maybe it's just because you're ugly.
Ugly? You gotta be kidding me.
Time for What's Up Fred's Can on 1252 Sports Chicago.
Okay, now some people know, you look at me, I never played soccer before. I played a media game, and Frank Klopas, the now interim coach of the Chicago Fire, nutmegged me, meaning he put the ball through my legs on his way to the goal and laughed all the way doing it. And he's a very, very cool guy. Eric, how are you? Good luck on Wednesday night. Should be a fun little thing going on. But if you like soccer, the Premier League is probably the best league to watch. The English Premier League, the best league to watch in soccer, and it is on NBC Sports Network. Okay, I have DirecTV. It's on channel 220, and I see it every weekend. There was a game this past weekend. Tottenham took on Manchester United. Manchester United, after getting blown out by Liverpool last week, comes on, gets a nice win with Cavani and Ronaldo scoring for Manchester United. But I see this right before the show starts today. This is from John Orand. John Orand writes for the Sports Business Journal. And at Sports Business Journal Media, he also does a podcast. And here's the headline: Premier League will start to shift of NBC Sports Network to USA Network. Here's what it says. USA Network will carry a triple header of Premier League games on January 1st, the day after NBCSN goes dark. Now, this is NBCSN, not the Chicago one, but NBCSN, the national one that had the soccer games on it. Those games will start at 6 o'clock. Will begin this year with where USA will carry more than 1,500 hours of sports programming that formerly was on NBC Sportsnet. Later this week, NBC Sports Group formally will announce the specific sports properties that will migrate from NBCSN to the USA Network, including NASCAR, Indy races, USGA, and golf championships, Olympic sports, and all kinds of things like that. NBC Sports execs believe the move will lead to USA becoming the top-rated sports and entertainment channel on cable. Sports will be moving to more than just USA, also be on CNBC, Peacock will also carry sports events exclusively. Other sports migrating to USA Network include college sports, horse racing, and cycling. Now, among the sports, NBC Sports programming on USA, Atlantic 10 basketball, horse racing, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series, Indy Racing, NASCAR, Olympic Sports, Premier League, the early and weekend lead rounds of the British Open and the Women's British Open, which I love. There's nothing better than the British Open. Beijing Winter Olympics, the Tour de France, USGA early rounds and weekend lead-ins to the US Open and the US Women's Open. Now, the reason this is up my can is that as a soccer fan, you're having to jump through hoops trying to find it, okay? ESPN Plus has a lot of soccer on it. The problem with ESPN Plus is I like it. I watch it. The Bundesliga is on there. La Liga is on there. The Italian League is on there. Major League Soccer is on there. But it's difficult. You have to have a smart TV, which most people have anyway. You have to have ESPN Plus. You have to pay the extra for ESPN Plus. Then some games are on Paramount. The Champions League games are on Paramount. Then Peacock, which is having some of the Premier League games, and you've got to pay money for that. We've all talked about cutting the cable, cutting the cord, and now we're paying Peacock and Paramount and ESPN Plus and Disney and Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime, it's crazy. We're almost spending as much as we spent paying the cable. But that's the way it's all gone, because you can now watch them on your phone. You can watch them anywhere, on your phone, on your iPad. You can check it all out. It used to be so much easier. But I guess as we advance in time, everything will be available on your phone. You'll be able to get everything. You will never need anything else. You won't need TV. You won't need cable. When I move, I've had satellite dish. I've had DirecTV since 1996. I've told this story before a couple weeks ago, I think, here on the show. I came home in 1996. I'd been married for 14 years. And my wife goes, "What's that?" I said, "It's a satellite dish." She goes, "You just went and bought it?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Don't we usually talk about stuff like that?" I said, "We do." I said, "But they announced that they're doing this NFL Sunday ticket where you can watch every game from the NFL every Sunday, and I was going to get it. So I figured it'd be easier to argue with you or apologize to you for buying it later than asking for permission to buy it, because, again, we were married for 14 years, and if you want to stay married for a long time, sometimes you ask for permission. Sometimes you ask, just you apologize." So I got it. I've had it since then. But when I moved to Lockport, I will not have that. So I'm trying to figure out if I get YouTube TV with Xfinity Internet, or if I get Xfinity and pay the fees for HD, pay the fees for the DVR, pay all the extra fees that you get, or YouTube TV, which is like $65. You get your extras for HBO and Showtime if you want. Then you have HBO Now, and you get your Netflix. You order your Netflix and you order your Amazon Prime and all that stuff. There's so many things out there, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do it. If you have any suggestions, let me know during the course of the week. You can get to me on Facebook. You can get to me by responding here on the 1252 Sports. Next week, I'm again not sure when we're going to do the show. We may skip a week because the Bears play next Monday night. So right at this time next Monday, the Bears will probably be leading the Steelers 14-0. A quick jump. It'll be shocking America, or not. So we will do something. Keep an eye out on the 1252 at 1252 Sports on Twitter, or 1252 on Facebook, and we'll make sure we let you know where the show is going to be next week, and if we're going to pass it up and just go for down the road a piece. The Bears with another Monday night game coming up. They've got the Thursday game on Thanksgiving. They got a bye week coming up after the Monday night game. So we'll have a lot to get into, a lot more beer conversation, a lot more talk with beer people. I'm hoping to get somebody on next week, and we'll go from there. And as the baseball winter meetings and general managers meetings and the talk with the new collective bargaining agreement goes on, we may get someone to talk about that also. Someone here, may get one of my buddy Jesse Rogers. Maybe I'll get Jesse on, and we'll talk some baseball. It's always fun to do on ESPN 1000. I'm sure he wouldn't mind jumping on with me here on Huebs, Views, and Brews. So as I was going to say, as I finish up this stout, but remember, this glass doesn't hold the full 16 ounces. So I have more to add, but I will definitely finish this and probably start another one. Hope you have a great Monday night. Thanks a lot. Stay safe. We'll see you sometime next week in the near future. Don't forget the Fat Mike Sports Show coming up on Wednesday, and we've got the World's Best Fantasy Show coming up later in the week. Also the Harry Berg Show on Friday at 8 o'clock. So many shows. Check it out on 1252, not only here on Facebook, but also on YouTube, on Twitch. And the day after everything, you can go to Spotify and get all of the audio from all the programs just going to 1252 Sports Chicago. Thanks a lot. Have a great night. Go Bulls. Let's see if the Hawks get a win, and see if Patrick Mahomes can hang on to the ball for the rest of their game against the Giants. Have a great night, everyone.